So I'm going to mess up Funky's sack. Swiss Army knife, Sergeant. So what he wants done is he wants the serrations off. Alright, so he sent it me. I'm going to grind them off, send it back. What he also wants done is he wants the auger on the back. There's a little burr on this part here, so I'm going to take that down and just sharpen that up a little bit. And also with the tin opener, we did want that sharpened, but I don't think the steel on this will be strong enough to put a decent edge on it. In fact, if you can see that it's already rolled a little bit. Let's see if we can catch the light on it. It's already rolled a little bit on that edge where it's been used. So I'm not going to do anything to that. I might tickle it up a little bit just to give it a bit more of a sturdier edge, but this is, I mean, this is, you know, it's a stainless steel. I don't even know what it is. I don't care, but I know that too much of an edge on that will just destroy it when you try and open a tin. So first things first, what we're going to do is, might as well do the blade first, eh? Just get these nasty serrations off of here. I don't like serrations myself. I really don't. I mean, there's, you know, plenty of people like them. I think they're like gut hooks. Well, no, they're not like gut hooks. Gut hooks are totally fucking useless. But let's take these off. Mess just coming through. So yeah, let's get these off. I've got a worn 120 belt on here, 120 grit belt on here, and I'm going to very gently just take these off. I'm not going to go in there hard. I don't want to ruin the temper. I don't even know what the temper is on this. I haven't googled it. It doesn't matter. As long as I go nice and easy and don't even raise a steam on it, we'll be fine. So let's see how we get on. First thing I need to do, because I ain't taking it apart, bollocks to that, I'm just going to wrap the handle in some duct tape, okay? Because obviously I don't want any other crap getting in there. I don't want anything getting into the pivot or anything like that. I mean, I have a flippant devil-may-care attitude towards many things, but when it comes to doing a decent job on a knife, there's no half measures, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to get some duct tape on there, and we'll come back in a second. Right, it's just a little bit of duct tape on here. Just take these teeth off. Okay, first things first, take these serrations off. Right. Now, this is some soft steel. as you can see, I've taken all the serrations off. Now, there's no need to grind them all the way to the top of the serrations, because when I put the bevel back on now, as long as this edge here is completely flat, which it is, then there's no need to take the serration, there's no need to grind this down all the way to the top of the serrations. I'll try to keep some kind of form there, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Google the steel, because I want to know what steel this is and kind of what I can get away with, because it is pretty soft. So let's do that. I'll come back to you and we'll figure out what's happening. Peace. Okay, so a little Google foo, we find out that it is X55 CR MO14, which we all knew anyway. Hardened to around 56 Rockwell. Temperature is around 160 degrees centigrade, which, like I say, is not really a problem. I don't plan on taking it anywhere near that kind of temperature anyway, so not overly fussed. But around 56 Rockwell will explain why it feels quite soft to grind, and also I'm used to grinding D2, which is tough as all bollocks. So anything less than that is going to feel really easy to grind. I've been grinding some 01 recently, and that feels so much easier to grind than D2 anyway. So something like this will obviously feel very, very different. But at least that explains that. I can crack on now. But before I grind this back, what I want to do is I want to put a point on it, because pointy is better than not pointy most of the time. Now, instead of taking it up from the belly to get a point on it, which might make the tip sit a little bit proud at the end of the scales, I'm going to take it down from the spine. So I've got, I'm going to start at 80 grit, take it back down through the grits. This is a kind of a worn 80, and I've got a little section of slack that I've got at the top of just above the platen here, and I'm going to take this down, blend it all in, polish it all up, and get a tip on that before I then go to, no I'm not, I'm going to grind this bevel first. And the reason I'm going to grind that bevel first is because with the rounded tip there, it'll act fractionally more as a heatsink when I grind towards this tip. Considering it's got such a low temperature, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grind the bevel first, then I'm going to make it pointy. Like I say, the more meat you've got behind the tip, the more it has to conduct the heat away from the tip, the less damage you're likely to do to the tip. So that's what we're going to do now. If it was my own knife, my own steel, especially my own steel, I mean my own knife, sounds like I'm lackadaisical with my own blades, which of course isn't the case. But with an unknown, with a steel that I'm used to working with, I prefer to play a little bit safe. Whereas obviously with D2 and whatever, with a much higher temperature, it's not so much an issue anyway. Less waffle, more grinding, let's do this. So we're going to swap the belt out. I've got I'm going to go with a 120 and see how we go from there. If it gives me a nice enough finish, I'm going to leave it at 120, because a blade like that would benefit more from a toothy kind of edge than it will from like a razor honed polished edge that you might put on something like a high carbon steel. So let's do this. Alright, so here you go guys. That's now chisel ground all the way along, and it's got a nice burr sitting on the back of it, which I'm going to strop off with some stropping compound, so it effectively grinds it off. What you don't want to do when you've got a burr is to keep flopping it backwards from one side to the other. The way I like to strop, I use a power strop, the way I like to strop is to strop one side so it basically grinds away what's left of the burr, and then strop it from the other side just to get that final edge. What I don't really like doing is flopping it backwards and forwards until it snaps off, because that leaves weakened metal on the edge. So that's what we got there. So before I strop that off and make that stonking sharp, in theory, I want to take this tip down, so I'm going to do that now. Just pop that. This should be relatively quick, in theory. So let me shift the camera around for you so I can get a better view, alright? introducing some slack. Just a little. Too much. Right, final belt. Coming up to where is it, but that is that's a really nice fine satin finish there. There's the tip, but the rest of it's not satin, so we don't want satin, so I'm going to slap this on the buffing wheel and buff it. There you go, mirror polished, blended in all over the top. Where are we looking? Here we go. Spot on. Looks stock to me. Right. Let's give this a strop. Finish up this blade here, and then get on with the other two. Right. Power strop. A little bit of compound. Just get on with it. Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about. No burr gone from there, and no burr on this side, which means that that burr there has just been, basically it's been sharpened off. If you've got a grinding belt, which was basically as abrasive as that Green Rouge there, then this will be giving you the same effect. Okay, this is just grinding it on a microscopic level to take that burr off. Touch on the rear just to realign the edge. Now, like I say, that's pretty toothy, because that was 120 grit, but before you write off a toothy edge, let's see how it gets on with a little bit of foam book paper. Alright, just goes to show you don't need a 600 grit finish to get, paper's getting creased now, to get a decent cut. Okay, now you can hear that it's got teeth there, but like I say, on a steel such as this, you don't want it to be uber shiny sharp, because the steel will just collapse too quickly and you end up with a no good edge. So, a little bit of teeth should last you longer, and of course you now got your point on there, which will get them splinters for you. Alright. Does it shave hair? Of course it shaves hair. Groovy. That's the fun bit done. Let's get on with the arbor and the tin opener. Alright. There you go. It sits nicely in there. You can see what I mean about the tip would have been slightly exposed if I'd ground it up to the spine instead of down to the belly. So there we go, job done. Next thing is, let's get the tin opener out of the way. There's not really much I can do to that. What I am going to do is take my little Spyderco stone here and actually knock off the edge. Can we see where that's catching the light a little bit? There we go, a little glint there. Alright, so instead of making this sharper, I'm effectively going to make it duller, which of course sounds counterproductive, but the bottom line is, if your apex is too acute for what you need it to do, and taking into account your steel, you know, your temper, your geometry and all that, if your edge is too acute, then it's going to suffer damage. And sometimes it is beneficial to take that edge back to a more obtuse angle in order to preserve the cutting performance of the knife. Well, in this case we're talking about a tin opener. Now you can see where that has rolled already. Now say the edge was like that before and then it rolled. Instead of having that, you now effectively have that. Does that make sense? So you're now trying to push that amount of steel through the tin instead of what you had before. So if I now take off the edge of that ever so slightly to prevent that from rolling, you will still have a smaller surface area cutting through that tin than you would have had it rolled. If you don't get it from that explanation, I can't help you. Of course that don't just apply to tin openers either. Right, now you can see now where I've taken that edge back. Let's see if I can get this focus a little better. Alright, it's difficult because it's very, very tiny edge, but that's what we're looking at. And now that will effectively protect it from rolling over when it's used, and should actually prolong the life of the tool. Boom, that's done. Auger, so have a look at that. Fucking gloves. Now, again, this is rolled. Can you see some shining right on the edge there? It's unequal. And he wants me to sharpen this up for him. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get just a Trizac belt. I'm not going to mess around with the grits or anything like that, because this one wanted a saw edge on it, like a more toothy edge, because it'll be on a draw cut, it'll be slicing. This one is, as you know, an auger, and this edge here will be more for scooping. So you do actually want a finer edge on it, and if I put teeth on that, they're more likely to collapse, similar to the tin opener here. So I'm actually going to put a reasonable sort of edge on that. It's still got to be a little bit sturdy because the steel is that soft, but there's no reason why you can't work with soft steel, you know what I mean? As long as you marry up the geometry and all that business, as long as you get it all right, then there's no reason why soft steel can't be worked within its boundaries, and in some cases to a greater benefit than a harder steel, not tougher, but tougher, a harder steel. So let's see what I can do with that. If you're still with me, of course. If not, so we're going to go straight for we're going to go straight for a Trizac. Straight a Trizac, and this is an A100. So let's see how we get on here. I'm going to have to offer it up very, very slowly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of run-up attempts, if you like. So, because there is an angle on the back of this auger, So I'm going to take a couple of dry runs at it before I turn on the grinder. And then touch it up. So let's move the camera for you. Right, you can see where this has been unevenly ground from the factory. If you have a look at that, you can see where I'm touching it, and then you can see that divot there where it's been unevenly ground. Now the problem there is that, I suppose I can try and take the angle back, but I can't take the edge down because it needs that concavity in there for it to work. If I take the edge down, obviously it's going to be grinding it too much up towards here. So what I'm going to have to do is I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to convex it. I'm going to convex this bitch. Funky likes a convex, doesn't have to be flat ground. So I'm going to convex it up, and in theory, even when you're punching in through leather, because of the fact that it'll be convexed on the rear, that should improve performance. Win-win. So what I'm going to do is mark up this leading edge here, make sure I don't take too much meat off it. Take my glove off because I want to feel the heat on this one. This tiny little blade, even running this slow, was actually starting to warm up a little bit. So let's convex this off, shall we? Right. I'll show you this quickly. It's now convexed at the back there. And if you look on there, there's a very thin line of black there, which is what I wanted. That means I haven't touched the main edge. I've taken that as close as I can. What I'm going to do now is swap out this Trizac. Get the old cork belt on now. And give it a nice bright satin finish, so that when you are using it as an actual auger, the grind lines on the back, I mean, they're very, very fine anyway, but you don't want any resistance going in, especially doing like tough leather or something like that. So let's give that a nice little satin finish, which will ease A little clean.
First, I had to decide what I wanted to make. I wanted to make more, so I became a teacher. Now I make learning a privilege, not a chore. And frustration,
All right.
not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy. And giving up, impossible. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach.
Here we go.
Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Confessions of a potentially perfect pair brought to you by Adoptus Kids.
Can you see that?
I know more about cooking.
Nice and shiny, nice bright finish to it.
Lunch for a 12-year-old. I know kids like
I can stick that on the buffer,
ballets, I get,
but I'm not gonna.
maybe we could just compromise on that.
And the edge there is nice and sharp, with no burr on it at all. So that should gouge out quite a nice hole. Just give it a little clean up. Got a bit of white spirit. Awesome. Looks good now. Alright. So that's that. A little bit of fun. A little bit of a Friday project. Don't mind doing them every now and again. Oh, while I think about it, don't anybody message me, PM me, DM me, IM me, EM me, AM me, PM me, or email me asking me to mod their knives. It's not happening. Funky is a very good friend of mine. I've turned down friends before, I will admit. But damn it, he's just too charming. I'm kidding, just don't ask me. Right. So, got ourselves a nice serrated-less blade there. And of course the tin opener and the auger. Thanks for coming along, guys. It's Friday. Have an epic weekend. I hope you found that interesting. And yeah, I mean, if you've done the same, drop it in the comments box. Got any questions? Drop them in the comments box. If not, it's Friday. Awesome. Catch you all in the next vid. Peace.